Hello guys and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at a scenario where a state makes an empire. So it's a new series I'm putting in for 300 subs. I got a comment about it and I'd like to try it out, see how it goes. So first up today we are doing Texas. So let's go and begin with the Texan declaration of war on Oklahoma. They quickly cut the country into two and capture the Panhandle, while at the same time pushing towards Oklahoma City, which I'm guessing would be the capital. In this scenario, we have all states being independent, and this is the map we're going to be using to make all of our state empires. With that, Texas continues to push in, and with the split of Oklahoma, which I guess I should be calling these countries now, in two, and the fall of their capital, Oklahoma surrenders, and they are annexed by Texas, which is already adding to Texas' influence quite a bit. Same thing as with the Empire series, just let me know what you want to see. Obviously the first two we're going to do is Texas and California, but after that it's going to get a bit more random with some of the smaller yet more interesting countries, probably Florida, New York, any countries I have viewers from. With that, Texas continues their wars by declaring war on Louisiana, and they begin to push into the country with semi-ease, as the full Texan military here is arguably the most powerful in the USA. Maybe that goes to California, maybe Texas. But the fact is the Texans are incredibly powerful and they continue their push into Louisiana until the country surrenders. And yeah, that's just one more country under the control of Texas, as they are next completely, and including New Orleans. Well, what I meant to say is when New Orleans is captured, which would probably be their capital in this scenario, obviously you can't know for sure. We know there's state capitals, but we can't know for sure if they would change it or not. Texas declares their next war on Arkansas, which actually brings in a few more countries, aka Kansas and Mississippi. Yeah, Mississippi. As these three are kind of random in real life, but once again, we can't really know state relations for sure, as these are not real countries in real life, so we can't know exactly. And they had made an alliance, an anti-Texan alliance, which nobody knew about, so most difficult thing for Texas yet, yes. Pretty easy still, yes as well. With that, they just begin to breeze into Arkansas and Mississippi, and they even begin their push into Kansas, as honestly, none of these countries are not nearly strong enough to stand up to Texas, who's at this point a very powerful country. And without the USA, a lot of interesting things would happen in the world, but with all the states and with Texas making this empire, they'll become one of the strongest countries even after the breakup. With that, Texan troops are distracted and Kansas attempts to push back, although it's nowhere near enough, as now full Texas troops are arriving and absolutely decimate any resistance the country attempts to put up. With that, let's draw on these new peace treaties, with about half of Kansas being taken, actually a bit more than half. Arkansas is just not completely annexed, but a majority of the country is annexed, and same thing with Mississippi. These countries are just losing a bunch of land. It's absolutely terrible for them, but there's nothing they can do, as Texas will have their way. The one country that could put a stop to this is probably just California, but at this point California has no interest in getting involved with these central and southern states' affairs. Actually, why would I make that 3? I meant to make it 2. It's a bit thick, but it's fine, as they actually make a peace treaty with Alabama, in which they give up a small section of their land, and Texas does not declare war on them. Honestly, after seeing what Texas did to all these other countries, I don't think anybody would want to go to war with them. And seriously, this thickness is annoying me so much. So let's actually go ahead and set it back and redraw in these borders, because oh my god, that's annoying. But yeah, let's go ahead and redraw these because they didn't come out perfectly. Texas takes about half of Kansas, as I said, Would these states or newly found countries survive? Most likely not, after losing all of this land. But they would have no other choice, as Texas has defeated them by far. We also see the exact same event happening, in which Texas takes a small amount of southern Alabama in return for them being allowed to live. Their other option was one in which Texas took all of this land, so they actually gained some land by not letting Texas declare war on them. They aren't exactly allies, but they're not enemies, and that's all Alabama could have hoped for. Once again, I'm going to have to be making some assumptions here, as this world does not exist. In real life, the states aren't independent. They're exactly that, states. Relations, you can know some of them because of parties, because of whatever. But you can't know for sure what would happen here. I do know one thing for sure, and that's that this Texas is incredibly expansionist. And they continue to go with this as they just make another peace treaty with Nebraska? Yes, with Nebraska. In which they gain a small amount of the south of the country, whilst they are allowed to live. With that, though, they're about to face probably their most difficult challenge, although with these stronger countries, former states, such as Texas and California, it's going to be pretty easy for them to expand. And Texas declares war on New Mexico, which actually calls in their first difficult alliance with Arizona, Colorado, Wyoming, and Missouri joining in. Most difficult yet, probably. Wyoming has no people. Maybe this coalition was actually stronger, and now that Texas is stronger, this is going to be pretty easy, but most difficult yet. 50-50 chance. They just instantly begin to push for the important cities. If you didn't know, Arizona and New Mexico are both just a majority desert, if you ask me. They instantly push across New Mexico and into Arizona, capturing Phoenix and any other important cities that they have along their way, which instantly cripples both countries incredibly, as they rely heavily on their major cities to keep them alive. With that, hey, look at that, a new quad. But this one's about to go away, so don't get too comfortable with it as they begin to push into Colorado. And although Missouri stalls in the beginning, Texas is making progress. With that, both New Mexico and Arizona surrender to Texan troops, and a huge push into Colorado is made, as Wyoming is literally sending 1K troops, and they have no effect nearly at all. With that, as I said, Wyoming, they have a 500,000 population in total. They just surrender. And after full Texan troops are sent into Missouri, the country stands absolutely zero chance and decides to surrender in hopes of not losing too much land. Strategy that normally works. This kind of works for them as Texas takes a small bit of western Missouri, southwestern, but besides that, Texas takes a huge amount of land out of New Mexico and a small amount out of southern Arizona, along with out of Colorado. And look at that, they even get a little bit of their land back out of Wyoming. From the old days when Texas was independent, they were just joining the Union Mexican-American War. If you don't know about that, then you probably don't live in the USA or Mexico, or just don't know a lot about geography and history, because I'm sure most people know about that. But Texas is expanding more and more. At this point, they are much more powerful than California, and they have plenty of puppets to call upon if they have to. As I didn't really mention this, but that is a bit of a side effect of this, and that is that Texas is puppeting every single country they beat, not just not giving them their countryhood back, puppeting them. Which is pretty bad for them, as Texas can call upon them whenever they feel like it now. With that, though, we see, Texas being a huge power in the USA, even more powerful than they are in real life, and their final war is going to be not in the US states, but down here in Mexico, as they want revenge. And looks like the Texans are the ones doing the fighting now. In the beginning, like if Texas had instantly declared war on them, Mexico would have probably won, but not by much. But Texas calling in all of their puppets, and with all of the new land that they've acquired, yeah, it's going to be very different than what would have happened there. Instantly, they push across from Arizona and cut Mexico into two, Baja and regular. They make a small push into Baja California, but overall it's not their main campaign, as they make a push across the whole border. But of course, Mexico's mainland is across the coast. I can't show all of the mapping since it's not all of them on this map, but just assume that Texan forces are continuing to push down the Mexican coast. With that, they also continue their push into Baja, and after some mapping that can't be seen on this map, Mexico surrenders, leading to a good amount of land being taken by Texas. That land including a lot of northern Mexico, which isn't the most important land, but I mean, any land lost is bad for them, of course. And Arizona gets the pleasure of cutting Mexico into two, as they helped quite a bit in this war. Even though they are their puppet, Texas still wants them stronger, as they're forced to fight with them. Might as well have a strong ally on your side, instead of somebody weak who's only going to make the border longer. With that, Arizona gets their land, and the final Texan borders are almost in, as this has been by far the largest border expansion from one country. And of course, it's one of the big ones. So in most of these state empires, they're going to be going up against one of the two bigger countries here that are probably stronger than any of the states, well, old states, those being Mexico and Canada. But with this, Texas as empire is done. They have a lot of influence over the world, over the USA and Mexico. With the majority of North America under their control, they are now seen as a world power, not a superpower, but definitely a power. Hope you guys enjoyed. Tell me if you know like these state empires, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.